Only weeks before he leaves office, and President Obama is leveling sanctions on Russia for interfering in the U.S. election, expelling 35 diplomats and their families, and closing 2 compounds. Now, 2 of those diplomats are also on the FBI's most wanted list. Evgeny Bogachev, accused of maliciously cyber hacking financial information and stealing over $100 million from U.S. financial institutions and government agencies. And then we have Alexei Bilan. He's also wanted for cyber hacking as well as identity theft and intrusion into at least 3 major U.S.-based e-commerce companies. Jillian Turner is a Fox News contributor and a former White House National Security Council staff member under Presidents George W. Bush and Obama. And John Schindler is a security consultant and a former National Security Agency counterintelligence officer. Whew, almost used up all our time there. All right, so let's start with the 2 people who are still being searched for. We went over a little bit of what we know about them. Jillian, what else can you tell us?
Well, there's suspicions that obviously of all these people, these are sort of the most high profile. There was 35 in total, many of them believed to be with the GRU, which is Russia's military intelligence unit, including 4 of their top folks over there. So that's kind of the idea of the vein of the type of folks we're looking for here. These 2, too, I don't have particular information on them. But we'll have it soon. So,
John, how long do you think we've known about them? Did we just happen to come upon them right now?
No, years. This is years in the making, and U.S. intelligence, NSA, other agencies, the FBI inside this country have been following this problem for literally years. And Obama's move here, although welcomed by people like me who've been in the business, this is many days late, many dollars short. This is not going to have much impact, really.
All right, so let's go to the sanctions themselves and the hope that maybe they will have an impact, but we have differing viewpoints on that. Jillian, what do you think? Enough? Did the sanctions do enough?
They'll have an impact, and they're certainly welcomed by the intelligence community here in the United States. A lot of people are wondering sort of about the time frame here and why exactly this is happening why the sanctions are now being put in place so many months after we first had suspicions and then confirmed that these hacks had taken place. Remember, Vice President Biden said 3 months ago that we were gearing up to retaliate against Russia for a series of cyber attacks. Then we never heard anything further on the matter. And now we're hearing about these sanctions, about attacks that affected the DNC, the DCCC, and the Clinton campaign. So what is the delay due to?
Yeah, and John, as we went through a little bit earlier in the statement itself, the initial statement from President Obama, he admitted that a lot of this was back in October, and then over the past year, at least, he said, over the past year, his words, there have been attacks on diplomats in Russia. So it's a good question. Why now?
Well, I think things finally got so bad for this White House in a PR sense once Hillary took some damage in the campaign, how much we can debate, but she took some damage from this sort of clandestine Kremlin game. They've finally gotten in gear on this. But
okay, well,
let
me ask you this question, though. Do you think that we would have these sanctions and they would have been announced had Hillary Clinton won the election?
Well, I think the more interesting thing is Hillary would have done a lot more after she got inaugurated had she won, given the Clintonian predilection for revenge.
You didn't answer my question.
It's a counterfactual. I don't know. I think something would have been done unquestionably because of the enormous scope of this. Whether it would be the same, I don't know. I got to tell you, I find these sanctions pretty modest and mild compared to what we should be doing.
What else should we be doing?
Well, first of all, throwing 35 Russian spies out of the country should have been done back in 2013 when Edward Snowden showed up in Moscow, making clear he was in bed with the Russians. This administration has tolerated Russian interference in our governance time and time again, cyber and actual propaganda. It just reached critical mass this year. Remember, in 2015, the White House actually shut down, the Obama White House shut down a tiny State Department program to combat Russian
Okay.
sort of negative propaganda.
Okay. So
they don't even want to push back.
That's 2015.
They don't even want to push back.
Let's move forward, Jillian. What should the president-elect do, and how should he respond? What his response so far has been to move on, and he's having this meeting next week with intelligence leaders to get a full picture of what is happening here.
I think that is a great thing to do. As we all know, he's not been getting the daily intelligence briefings that have been offered to him. So sitting down with the folks on the ground who are grappling with this issue every single day is a smart move on his part. I applaud that. I think that longer term, all signs point to a Trump administration is going to try and cultivate closer ties with Russia. Every new president that comes into the White House has this sort of clean slate with our adversaries and our allies around the world, and so there's a lot of hope that this is going to be really good for the bilateral relationship. My concern for the Trump administration is that they're going to be, as time goes by, severely disappointed by the Putin regime, as every other American president has for the last half a century and more. You know, as soon as we have President Trump dealing with Vladimir Putin, not just as, you know, another sort of powerful figure out there in the media, but has his counterpart, a foreign head of state, it's going to change the dynamics. So
but at
it'll be
the same time, I mean, you are right. Yeah, other presidents have done this. President Obama happened to reference something on a open mic and said, wait until I get into office. But we have the president-elect admitting it up front. All right, thank you both for joining us, and I hope you have a Happy New Year.
Happy New Year, Heather.
All right, bye-bye.